Peace be with you. Dear friends, welcome to Living Flame Daily Gospel Reflections. Gospel Reflections for the fifth Sunday in Ordinary Time. Gospel according to Mark chapter 1 verses 29 to 39. The rapid pace of events continues as we progress through Mark's Gospel, as we have been meditating on this Gospel for several days now. Jesus and the disciples have left the synagogue and immediately entered the house of Simon Peter and Andrew, his brother. This would not be a leisurely afternoon. Upon arriving, Jesus begins attending to present needs within the home. Our text today moves from one event to another in succession. As we look at these events again, we find the love, compassion, and commitment of Jesus for the needs of others, as well as his devotion to his Father. Let us examine the glimpses of grace that we can find in this gospel passage. We come to verses 29 to 31. These verses describe a private moment within the house of Simon Peter. These private moments are precious because Jesus knew Peter and Andrew, and now he has great love and affection towards his family too. Now just imagine when we leave for serving Jesus, it doesn't mean that we have to leave everything. We have to come back to our families, and we need to understand that we are all human beings. The moment we leave for serving Jesus as priests or religious, it doesn't mean that we are completely cut off. And Jesus has compassion and love for our family members too. Now look at the timing. When they came out of the synagogue, they entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Bear in mind, they have just left the synagogue and are likely going to share a meal together following the service. Jesus had spoken with authority and cast out an unclean spirit. They had experienced a great spiritual movement, and yet the demands of life and ministry continued. There was no time to rest from the work. But Simon's wife's mother lay sick of a fever, and immediately they tell him about her. This doesn't appear to be a life-threatening illness, but it was certainly an inconvenience. She had probably intended to prepare a meal for them, but was sick and unable to carry out her duties. Just imagine the situation there. Probably there was no food, nothing was prepared, she was ill. They were embarrassed, but Jesus was not confused at all. In verse 31 we find, "And he came and took her by the hand and lifted her up, and immediately the fever left her, and she ministered unto them." It is possible that the fever would have run its course in a few hours, but Jesus did not neglect her need. He had power over the fever within her body and provided the healing she desired. His touch brought immediate healing, and she rose and ministered to them. That means she was eager to provide them food, the meal. They were hungry, and we find how quick it was. She immediately began to minister to them. Mark records that Jesus went from a private moment within the home in the afternoon to a public moment later that evening. There is a building up of momentum. And at even when the sun did set, they brought unto him all that were diseased and them that were possessed with devils. Following the events at the synagogue that morning, the fame of Jesus began to spread throughout the region of Galilee, Word had spread through Capernaum that Jesus had power to heal and cast out unclean spirits. The people began to recognize there was something special about this man, and they came to find him. This is the power of Jesus that was continuously at work. In verse 33, we notice the multitude, and all the city was gathered together at the door. This wasn't a small gathering of friends or well-wishers. The entire city of Capernaum had gathered at the door of Peter's house. Peter's house, maybe it was a poor house, but then it became so rich, people had come. Capernaum was a small town, but everyone in town had come to see and benefit from the presence of Jesus. Clearly, many came because they had need. Some likely came out of curiosity, and others came because they felt drawn to Jesus. And then the miracles followed. And he healed many that were sick of different sicknesses, cast out many devils, and who were suffering due to many other difficulties. They came and they were healed. He immediately began to heal the sick and cast out many devils. He met the needs of the vast multitudes in a miraculous way. And those precious moments. In the morning, rising up, a great while before the day, he went out and departed into a solitary place, and there he prayed. Here we catch a glimpse of a very precious moment in the life and ministry of Jesus. We find that Jesus rose early in the morning, a great while before daylight, to spend time with his Father. He knew the importance of such communion and was determined to start his day in a fellowship with the Father. Dear friends, looking at this gospel passage, we find how Jesus was busy, but then he never gave up his precious moments with the Father. Then Jesus departed from Capernaum into a solitary place to commune with the Father, and then he continued his journey to other villages and towns of Galilee. Dear friends, let us ask the Lord for this grace in our lives. Looking at the power of Jesus, enthusiasm of Jesus, we get an inspiration today that life is worth living when we are capable of serving others. Jesus never stops, but he never forgets to be in communion with the Father. This is a way of looking at our own life, our active life with the people, and our personal life with our God. Prayer and activity, contemplation and apostolic zeal. We need the power of prayer to work sincerely with dedication for God's kingdom here in this world. God bless you.